Last summer, we were brought to our knees during the pandemic, and then we were rocked at our cores with civil unrest. How can we heal a wound we refuse to acknowledge exists, and yet we silently still keep picking at it? I have a question I have for all of you tonight that I want you guys to consider throughout our time together. Does America have a policing issue or a police issue? According to policescorecard.org, since 2013, there have been 8,768 people who have been killed by police officers in our nation. Now, based on their research, a black person was 3 times likely and a Hispanic person was 1.5 times more than likely to be killed by a police officer in our nation other than a white person. I am here to tell you people right now, this is not acceptable. Because I know, as a police officer, we can do better. Now, I know there are some situations where deadly force is justified, and it is sometimes our only option. I still believe that we can minimize deadly force. Now, I want all of you to think of something very bold and radical. If every state in America made it mandatory that police officers are required to train in the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, lives would be saved. Now, I'm not up here to convince you that Jiu-Jitsu is the complete answer to a huge problem, because it's not. We still have other areas that we need to improve in. Think of it this way. We live in Texas, right? And in Texas, we love barbecue. We all know that in order to make a good brisket, we need multiple ingredients. You need barbecue sauce, you need seasoning, you need some onions, and you need to cook it at the right temperature. Well, Jiu-Jitsu, it is only one ingredient of many to make tomorrow a better place for law enforcement and for our communities. For those of you who don't know what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is, it is a martial arts system that was designed for a smaller, weaker person to successfully defend themselves by taking the fight to the ground, obtaining a dominant position, and finishing the fight with submissions. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Well, doesn't Jiu-Jitsu teach chokeholds? Yes, it does. But I will tell you this. Most police departments in our nation have banned chokeholds from their agencies. And I will tell you, here in the state of Texas, with the new legislative update, chokeholds have been banned from all throughout the state. But I will tell you from my personal experience, I have never used a chokehold, and I do not believe a police officer who is trained in this art would use a chokehold either, because he knows how dangerous they are, and he will resort to other options. Besides, there is a lot of great benefits for a police officer training in Jiu-Jitsu. For number one, if somebody tries to put him in a chokehold, he knows how to defend it and escape it to save his own life. And Jiu-Jitsu will build confidence within that police officer. He will make and create friendships with Jiu-Jitsu. It'll also make him mentally and physically stronger. But let me go back to relationships real quick, because I want to tell you guys how it helps with relationships with people. By going through classes, we meet people through different cultures, different ethnic backgrounds, different career fields. I would not be standing here on this stage with you guys today had I not trained in Jiu-Jitsu and met some wonderful people throughout my Jiu-Jitsu journey to my black belt. Also, Jiu-Jitsu will give this officer the skills he needs to effectively do his job rather than resorting to the tools on his belt when he has to take action and gain compliance on somebody. One of the many problems we have in law enforcement is the lack of hands-on training. We are only required to train for, at a minimum, 1 hour every 2 years. Seriously? 1 hour every 2 years? Can you see where part of the problem is? Hand-to-hand combat is a perishable skill. We should be training in at least 50 hours every year. Because everything that we do as police officers is by touch. Anytime that we have to arrest somebody, we have to put them in handcuffs. We have to search them. So a police officer should be at least at an intermediate level with hand-to-hand combat skills so we can effectively do our job in a safe manner by using connections, not force. Anytime a police officer goes to arrest somebody and that person that we are arresting doesn't want to cooperate with us, he's going to do one or two things, or he may even do both. He's going to either fight or he's going to flee. Now, when a police officer is faced with these situations and that person wants to fight or flee from the police officer, it causes the police officer to become tunnel visioned. He loses focus on the task at hand. He gets anxiety. He gets fear because he's losing control of the situation, and he doesn't have the skills to defend himself. Now he's starting to do what? He's resorting to the tools on his belt. He goes for his taser, doesn't work. To his pepper spray, doesn't work. To his baton, doesn't work. And now because he is in fear for his own life and for his own safety because he lost control of that situation, he takes his gun out and he pulls that trigger. If you've never been in that situation before, it is one of the most scariest feelings in the world to have lost control of a situation. Very scary. Now, if you take a police officer who is trained in Jiu-Jitsu and you put him in that same scenario, now he has the skills to do his job in a safe manner. Now he can defend himself. Now he can control the combative person without getting hurt. And most importantly, not hurting the person he's arresting. So now the police officer can go home to his family, and now the suspect can also go home to his family after he's dealing with his justice. Amazing. Nobody gets hurt. And this is not what we want to do. We don't want to hurt anybody. These skills are especially important when we are talking about people who have mental illness. You guys, at the end of the day, when we deal with people who have mental illness, we do not want to hurt that person. We want to give them the help that they need. But sometimes dealing with people who have mental illness, they also can become combative and they don't know what's going on. They're disoriented. And that situation can get out of control as well. So now we have to deal with this situation. And, when that situation gets out of control, if an officer doesn't have these skills to just maintain the chaos, then it turns out that officers will lose control, and then we end up in a situation where someone gets hurt or deadly force happens. Now, I know for a fact that we have a deeply rooted issue in the way we protect and serve our citizens. There is division, there is distrust, but there has got to be a brighter day in spite of all the darkness. Now, I have a message for all my brothers and sisters in blue. I challenge all of you to explore this training, because we can do better for the citizens in our communities. And all of you deserve better for your own mental and physical health. I want you guys to understand that Jiu-Jitsu it's only an idea for right now, right? It's just an idea. And for those of you who are not cops, I will say this. For those of you who are not police officers, I also encourage all of you to try a class. Find your local Jiu-Jitsu school, try a class, and see for yourself that what I'm telling you is true. Because although Jiu-Jitsu is not mandatory right now and it's just an idea, ideas can lead to action. And action can lead to positive changes in all of our communities. Thank you.